This book, hey, episode, hey, stop it. If you guys are gonna be here, you guys gotta stop. Welcome to the Chapters of Life podcast. My name is Yesenia. Thank you for tuning in. Before we get started, I want to take a minute to acknowledge that it's Black History Month. At the time that I'm recording this, it is February, and I want to just acknowledge the Black community and all of the hard work that they have put into when it comes for advocating for themselves. It is very admirable, and I just hope that although I feel like sometimes I'm not doing enough, that I hope that my little part in recommending diverse books and books by people of color will help with bringing awareness to the situation that we have going on within our world. Like I said, it's Black History Month. Definitely read books by Black authors, not just in February, but all throughout the year. My biggest thing and my biggest thing for this podcast is to promote diverse books. So I definitely will continue to um, recommend diverse reads, whether it's from Latina authors, Black authors, Asian authors, Filipino authors. I definitely always try to read diverse books, and that is something that you will find here on my page as far as recommendations. I typically don't read a lot of white authors. There are a few handful that I do read just because I want to read those stories as well. But my priority is to read Latina authors and authors of color. However, this is a great segue into what I want to talk about today, which is the books that really helped me through my healing process. So, when I started my healing process, I Well, first of all, I just want to say that I was not a big reader prior to 2018. 2018, I started my healing journey. It's when I hit my rock bottom and I said, I need to do something for myself. And this book just kind of came across. Actually, it was from a coworker of mine, which this is actually her book. She never asked for it back, and I never gave it back. Um, but the very first book that I read that really sparked my interest in getting back into reading was Girl Boss by Sophia Amoroso. Um, she is the founder and executive chairman of Nasty Gal. So there was also a Netflix series about her and her story. Basically, she was thrifting clothes and reselling it, and she had all of these hardships, but she strapped up her boots and she got to work, and she was a girl boss. And now she is the CEO of a multi-million dollar company. So this was the first book that really piqued my interest in reading. At the time that I read this, I was like, wow, I was so motivated and I was so inspired to just be like, I gotta get shit done. Like, I gotta do stuff. I gotta do stuff for myself. What am I gonna do? Right? So, this is kind of what piqued my interest. And then I read Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. And I don't have that book with me because it is in storage. And that book was another book where I'm just like, oh my God, this is so motivating. And she made some really good points at the time, I thought. Um, the one biggest point that I think is relevant still is that one of her things was do something for yourself to make you feel good. Like wear that outfit that makes you feel good. One of those look good, feel good, play good, whatever, right? So that was, her message in one of the sections in her book. And for her, I believe she got a boob job. For me, though, what I took that on as I wear a lot of, well, I haven't worn it recently, but I used to wear a lot of burgundy. And I was like, okay, this is what makes me feel good. I feel cute. I feel confident. So that was one thing as far as like an initial thing that I can fix for myself. But another thing for me was fixing my teeth and my smile. So I got braces, I did Invisalign, and I think that helped tremendously. That was something that I was always self-conscious about. Um, but it really helped in that aspect during that period of my life. However, one of the things that she really preached was her and her husband and the great relationship that they have and how to be committed to each other and relationship goals and communicating with each other. And then all of a sudden, I see the news that they have split up. Um, and I remember just feeling so icky about it. Don't get me wrong, I truly felt bad that they were separating and breaking up. That's not something that I wish for anyone. However, they had built this platform with that the focus, and I just felt a little bit betrayed. It felt a little bit inauthentic. Um, and now, and I remember at the time, I was part of this small group through a podcast that we would meet weekly. And I remember mentioning it to them, and there were, out of everyone in the group, um, there was only me and this other girl who were Latinas. And like, I just remember telling them, like, I don't know, like, something doesn't sit right. But they didn't discount my feelings, but like they more focused on, oh, it's so sad for them and this and that, and not necessarily, hey, they built this whole platform on them being committed to each other. However, they weren't being authentic in the struggles that they were actually having. Obviously, not someone's not gonna separate from one day to another, and that's what it felt like, and that's where that inauthenticity was coming up for me, because never did they mention that they had any struggles that they were going through. So, um, other than that, I mean, she is kind of problematic, and that's why that book is in storage, because I don't want to really share that with anyone or recommend anyone to read it, but I just want to share with you kind of my thoughts and how I started. Yes, she's a problematic author, and yes, at that time I was like, oh my God, this is wonderful. But now, as I kept reading and as I kept going, my views on that changed. So that is that. The book that I read after that, I don't remember if this was the actual order or not. These next three that I'm going to share with you, I can't remember the order that I read them in. Um, but the other book is Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. And I believe she is also white. I don't know. She's also a white author. I don't necessarily know what her ethnicity is. However, the biggest takeaway from this book for me was that there doesn't have to be a specific niche um, in things that you're good at. There, you can have a lot of little different things that you're good at and can do. And at the time, this was right for me because I really didn't know what like my niche was or what my purpose was in life. Like I was literally trying to figure it out as I was going through my healing process. So this gave me a lot of little good nuggets. But again, this is also a very like put on your boots and let's get to work and let's figure this shit out. Which it helped in some ways, but not necessarily um, what I think I needed looking back at it now. The other book I read is You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life by Jen Sincero. This is where I started to get into like me personally and my beliefs, not necessarily just like you just got to get up and work and do it and you'll have success. So, the biggest thing that I got out from this book is that how people react to a situation is a reflection of them, not you. And that goes vice versa, right? How I react over a situation is more a reflection on me than them. So it really forced me to look at my reactions of things during that time. And mind you, during that time, I was going through depression and I didn't know what the heck was going on with me. I was also going to therapy at that time, which I guess I did know what was going on with me. I was depressed and there was a bunch of things, but my biggest thing is how I was reacting to stuff. But instead of, hey, oh, I'm so mad at this person, I was forced to ask myself, well, why am I mad? Like, what wounds do I have that are triggering for me and causing this reaction? And then also vice versa, right? Where it's like, okay, whatever their reaction is, it's not really about me because that is one and continues to be, which I'm working on. One of my most difficult things that I work on every single day is internalizing things. I internalize so much and I feel like everything is my fault or I did something or their reaction is because of me and something that I did. So I am working really hard on still to this day, even after I read this back in 2018, 2019, that you know it's really not about me. Whatever their reactions are, it's about them and the wounds um, the wounds that they might be trying to heal or maybe that aren't healed. Um, so that is one thing that has stuck on with me, and this book helped me build that foundation to that I have been able to build on throughout the years. This is definitely a great book. This one I do recommend, even though she is a white author. The other one that I liked, the other one that I liked is The Universe Has Your Back: Transform Fear to Faith. So this one really just helped me realize like I gotta let the fears go, especially. And again, this helped me build the foundation because I still fight the fears every single day. Even today, before making this video, I was doubting myself and feeling like, you know what, I'm just gonna quit this podcast. I'm just not gonna do it. It is what it is. I just gotta live with it. Um, and that's just me, being fearful of what others may think. And I think I touched a little bit about this on my first video. But this kind of helped build that foundation that I have been able to build on, where it's like just give it to the universe and just let it be. And there's a lot of manifestation in here, which I really enjoyed. But basically, that's what manifestation is just you want you have wants and desires, but sometimes you just gotta let that go and trust that it will happen in one way or another and in a way that you might not expect it to come to you. Just because you want and desire something and you have a specific way of how that should look like, it doesn't necessarily mean that's how you're gonna get it. But the whole point of manifesting is that you will get it. Um, and there'll be a way that you get it. I remember, I think I read this in 2019 because I remember that I really wanted to go to the Blake Shelton concert, and his concert was the week before everything shut down for COVID. And a couple weeks, I think, yeah, I think that was it. I went to two of his concerts, so now I don't remember which one it was, but I remember that I was just playing I was playing his albums over and over and over, and that's all I listened to. I didn't have tickets to the concert. I was just like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And but I was just listening, and I was just, like picturing myself, okay, like I can be at his concert. And my husband surprised me with the going to the concert with tickets. There was twice, and I can't remember which one it was that I was manifesting. The first time he called me at work and he's all like, I got tickets. And I'm like, oh my God. And I yelled at where people looked at me like, what the heck is going on? The second time he surprised me, he said we're going to a bar with his coworkers by the sports arena. And it ended up that we were going to the concert instead. So I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the first one that I was manifesting it for sure. So you just kind of let it go out to the universe. All right. Um, there was also another book, The Warrior Goddess Way. That one was a really good book as well. That one made me look within as well and forced me to look at the wounds that I was trying to heal. That one is a great book. I highly recommend that one as well. At this time, I was reading a lot of nonfiction and memoirs, books about other people and what they have had gone through. And then in 2020, I found the Bookstagram community, and that's when I really started getting into fiction. Um, and I realized that there was a whole community of Latinas who were promoting and reading Latina authors. And I was just in awe, and I started picking up some of those books, and I was not able to go back ever since then. However, I was still going through a healing journey, and I really still needed um, to read books that would help me. And I started searching, okay, what are some self help books that are by Latina authors? And there's still so many that I haven't had a chance to read because I'm just so into the fiction. But one that I did find is I Am Diosa by Christine Gutierrez. And oh my God, this book was just amazing. So not only is she Latina, but she wrote a self-help book, and this is a very, so it's a journey to healing deep, loving yourself, and coming back home to soul. This book made me do the work. I did the work, and I think I have a journal full of all of the journal prompts. And so, a couple things that I like about this book: one, she's Latina and she wrote the book. Um, two, she talks about her experience. So it really helped connect to her, and those, even though our situations are different, those feelings are still the same. Um, so it really helped me connect to her through this book. In addition to this, in addition to that, she had a lot of reflection questions at the end of each chapter. So you would read the chapter and then you would reflect on, based off of your situation and what you may be going through. And it really forces you to dig deep. Well, it doesn't force you, obviously, because if you don't do it, then you don't do it, but it's highly recommended because the only way you're going to get through your healing is by feeling it, and going through it and doing the work. So you do yourself a disservice if you're not trying to do that work for yourself. So that means answering the questions. She also has meditations in here. As I was reading them, I mean, I couldn't obviously sit there and meditate and read it, but I felt that as I was reading it, I felt the words. So, just to kind of give you an idea, um, part one, the darkness, exploring trauma and the original wound, a return to soul, getting to the root of it, how the past affects you now, recognizing the soul traps. So, this is where we're doing the work, right? We're getting to the root of what that problem is. And then part two is the light living in alignment with the soul. So, soul alignment, intimacy with self, dust yourself off and try again. And then part three, the integration, living the Diosa vibes and light in action, setting high standards, cultivating healthy love, coming back home to self, Diosa rituals. And then you are Diosa. So it helps you identify what that original wound is. And once you kind of get in there and recognize it and feel the pain, you can start healing it and start moving forward with whatever traumas or wounds that you have. So, this was a great book. I really, really, really connected with it. Um, and I'll try to find my journal that I used when I was reading this book, and maybe I can share more nuggets and tidbits with you um, in a separate video. So, and last but not least, the most recent book that I have read is Ass Bonita by Kim Guerra. This book, oh my gosh, this one touched my soul. So this one I did tab like every other page, and I have a lot of sticky notes. this one I do want to do a whole video on this book in particular, but this book really focuses on the madre wound, the wound that you have, because of your mother. However, it's not necessarily that your mom is a narcissist or your mom shouldn't have done this or your mom this and that. This book really helps you realize that your mom did the best she could with what she had and with how she grew up, what she learned as a little girl. And what your mom's mom, your grandma, learned as she was growing up and when she was a little girl, and your mom's mom, your great grandmother, what she learned. And that's where that generational trauma comes in. And that's why I think I love this book so much, because I have followed people on social media where your mom is a narcissist and she's this and she's that, and I didn't really align with it. And I have a complicated relationship with my mother, and that was my biggest wound that I had to heal throughout the years. And I wish that this book was available back in 2018 when I started my healing journey, because I think it would have sped up my healing journey um, by a lot, I feel like. But I already had learned a lot of this stuff through other, just kind of myself going through this journey. But this really helped put it into perspective and put it in a way that also related to our culture, and help understand why our mothers and grandmothers and great grandmothers and tias are the way that they are, and how it's really up to us to break that cycle if we choose to break that cycle. So, I am going to do a more deep dive on this book for you guys and some of the things that resonated with me. Um, so stay tuned. Make sure to follow me, and subscribe to my channel. That way you don't miss that episode. So, well, that was a lot of books. I hope you enjoyed this video and got to learn a little bit about me and my journey when it comes to books. I look forward to sharing with you more nonfiction books and fiction books, because even though, yes, these have great nuggets of wisdom and helps you heal, I feel like there's something about reading fiction books. The